come up, oh, there's newborns, and it's just because you know what's the problem, you know how to handle the situation, and you are able to handle the situation, and it's story, right? Where is the problem? Where is the conflict? I looked at her once, and now I'm in love with her. Posters. Three Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer is. I just want to go straight into it. I have no words to say. The first chapter, I would say, Ultimatum, and we get a little sweet note from Jacob, and it's like there's just so many slashed out sentences. It just conveys his emotions so very well. I really like this Jacob's side of the story. His stories about werewolves and all of the legends that there is there. It's beautiful. We got to know a lot about it in the second book, and this book we get to know something that's called imprinting. Imprinting is a good and a bad thing for me because I like the concept of imprinting. I do not like it is based on looks because in one of the books, in this book or the next one, is just the fact that Taylor just goes in a random place and stares at girls just in the hope to find someone to just feel that yeah, this is the one. This now my world is just revolving around her. It's just the concept is nice. It could have been executed a bit more better. Like you could have shown the person instead of looking at them, you feel something because it's magical. You could have shown like a magnetic pull towards that person. Yes, there is, but it's just so much more on the looks. I would have liked it more on the efforts that a person takes for you because you need to show it's worth it rather than just appearance wise. Like, yeah, I looked at her once and now I'm in love with her. And it's so stupid. It's funny stupid. And at the same time, I feel so sorry for him. And three books so far have done no justice towards Jacob because Bella has been friendzoning him. He did not share that he's a werewolf to his family, to his father, and he's disgusted with the vampires, and he hates the fact that Bella is surrounding herself with the vampires and becoming one day. And all of this is literally showing up every time that Bella meets him. It's just showing up, and it's beautiful. I really like it, but just wait for it in book 4 where I literally say that there is a point of view of Jacob, which is it saved me from giving up on this series because I was able to go through this series because there was a Jacob's point of view. So why didn't Stephanie Meyer do it in all of the books? It's just so beautiful to see a character being portrayed so very well. But overall, I would say that this book, Eclipse, it is not a story for me because one, it the main central problem in this book is the newborn vampires that show up and attack everyone, especially Bella being the target, because Victoria shows up. So the villain from first book, second book, and third book are together. They just show up one after another, and Victoria appears in this one. And how do we know the central problem is newborn? Because Jasper already has the knowledge of it, and Jasper says it all before the actual battle. So they are completely prepared. And so they win the war, and it's over like that because there were no good stakes. I mean, the fact that Bella was kept on a separate location than the rest of the group, and Victoria shows up in this particular group, this particular section where Bella was there. So kudos to you. You did a great job at saving Bella, but why are you saving the woman that does not save herself, that just doesn't do anything to show that she's worth saving? My dislike to Bella is just not gonna end, but let me just go on to the next topic. So, newborns. The concept of newborns, the whole story behind it that Jasper is able to know already because he has experience in it. And I would say it just kills the story because you already know what's coming up. So there is no suspense, no mystery, and they are completely equipped to know how to tackle the situation. Like, okay, these are newborns. They will be super intense and strong than any other vampire, and they will completely drive on the urge to kill, so they will not stop to think, and we all just know everything. How to tackle them, it's all there. So what's the point of the story? What happened? Like, how did you say it's a story when there is no obstacles? Like, it was a very smooth sailing story because you know what's the problem, you know how to handle the situation, and you are able to handle the situation, and it's story, right? Where is the problem? Where is the conflict? Where is the consequence of the decisions that the people made in last book with? I don't even want to go back in there because Edward just decided to take a stupid decision of society. Whatever, just no one is upset. They just think it's fine that a vampire would normally go and kill himself when their human mate is no longer there. Like, look at Rosalie. I mean, Rosalie and Alice's story were so much more interesting as female characters that I just do not like Bella for it. And I would literally trade any of the other female characters' point of view for Bella because no, that woman just does not do justice. And that woman, because I speak of the character itself, I do not speak of the author because the author did a good job at doing the storytelling aspect of the narrative, which is, I mean, sometimes it is told to us, and it's told very explicitly in this book that what's gonna come up, oh, there's newborns, and it's just, apart from that, I would just like to conclude this video that the characters in this book, except for Bella because she just does not. It feels like she is an object. She just doesn't do anything except for being helpless, and everyone just wanting to save her when she is just doing nothing to be worth saving for. Yeah, I would just conclude this book by saying that the poster does not make sense. The meaning of the title were important, but this breaking of tie, I went to that length to study the poster and say that this breaking tie would actually have suited for the second book because they do break up. So there's a bit of breaking of tie in it, and I really feel that the posters could have been so much more better. And Taylor was not provided justice in the entire three book, but in the fourth book, my next video is about that. In that book, we get to see something about him, which is, oh my god, it's just, the fourth book is the best for me. What is your opinion? Like, which is your favorite Twilight book? Let me know. God, how is Edward really living with Bella? I just cannot handle this girl. Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer, the last book and the biggest so far. I don't know how I was able to go through it, except for one reason, that there is a Jacob's point of view in it. I was so happy to read Jacob's point of view. Jacob's point of view was the reason I was able to go through this book. Like, 756 pages? I'll read it only because there was Jacob's point of view, and I just do not like that there is no Jacob's point of view in the entire series, just in this book, because this made it to the top of my favorite list. This series is not my favorite, but the fact that this book managed to make it to the top is beyond me. Obviously, I do not like Bella being Bella, giving up all of her friends just for the sake of being with Edward. But then not leaving Jacob because she does not admit that she has feelings for him. They just friend zone each other, and their relationship is more complex. And I've said all of that, but this book in particular made me wonder that I do like Bella. Don't get me wrong, don't even think of building hopes on this because I like Bella only for 2 chapters. Just 1% of the entire series. 99% of the time I hate Bella, but this 1% I like her. I like her because she does something, like an active character role. She goes on a search and finds the advocate to build up the fake certificates for Jacob and her child. And let me talk about her child because there is so much to talk about it. Firstly, she is pregnant. We did not know that would be a possibility. That would happen. I do not like the reason why she wanted to become a vampire, but the moment she becomes a vampire, everything changes for her. She feels she's beautiful. Girl, you just lack self confidence. You just do not have self love because you did not love yourself when you were human. Like, you have flaws. Accept that. You didn't. In Breaking Dawn, Bella is really overreacting in the very first chapters where she's engaged and she's like, do not even look at the ring and it's just too much. And she does not appreciate the concept of marriage. I hate to say it because even when she's married in this chapter, she does get married and she is not an excited bride. She is not really excited. She is overreacting that she's getting married and she just does not like the concept of marriage at the early age, but she just totally, it's totally okay for her to be a vampire at an early age because she does not want to be an old granny, is she? I mean, at age 18 she thinks she's gonna be a grandma and she's older than Edward. I have no words. I have no words for this because this book just, this book is still the favorite. Like, at the very least, favorite things can be said to be favorite. This is the one because there is Jacob's point of view. Jacob saved this Twilight series and made it worth reading. Is it worth rereading? No, it's not worth rereading. Just because I wanted to see how they conduct the entire vampire and werewolf and all of the mythological aspects of these paranormal concepts, which are so overdone. Jacob's point of view, let me just talk about it for a second and then we'll go back to Bella's child. Jacob's point of view was fast paced, the one that I really liked, and I appreciate that that was there, which I think there was a need to add Jacob's point of view in all the books and just combine the first three books into one or two and keep this book into Jacob's point of view for so long. But Bella, I mean, the only time I like Bella is when she actively pursues and goes and does something and it feels like she's moving, she's doing something. So that's one. Two, I would say Bella's child because there is a lot to talk about it. Just let me talk about it. She overreacts because she is early pregnant, just like her mother. She lets everyone know that she's pregnant. She decides a name for her child, and obviously, if it's a boy, we'll name this. If it's a girl, we'll name this. That's normal. We know how people react. But for boy, she named EJ. I was a normal person thinking, oh, EJ, it's so sweet. I made a video about it, and it was so sweet for me to think for a second that it would be Edward Jr. E for Edward, J for Junior, just like we name a child. Like Edward, being the father, is senior, and we have Edward Jr. That is so normal for me to think. Tell me if it's not normal, because she does not name it that way. She names it Edward Jacob. What? He did not contribute in the baby to come out. And even though you have so much love for your best friend, you just cannot add his name. I mean, Edward was okay with it. He did not even say a word. God, how is Edward really living with Bella? I just cannot handle this girl. And then we have a female name because that is so much well thought of. She combines the two words of her mother's, Renee and Esme, and she combines them into Renesmee, which is so beautiful. I really like her name, and when you see the two name comparison, like Edward Jacob, EJ, and Renesmee, you already know it's gonna be a girl because yeah, the author made work, put effort into creating a good female name. We know it's a female child. It's just gonna be a girl. We know it now. And that's it. But then the story does not end there because when Jacob sees Renesmee, something happens. And now Jacob is in love. Because of the imprinting, he's in love with Renesmee. The reason he's in love with Renesmee is because the first three books did not do justice to Jacob, and he needed someone because he needed a happily ever after, because this book does not believe in bittersweet endings, this whole series, because for three books they were okay to hurt Jacob, they were completely fine to trash his feelings and just friend zone him even though he did not deserve it. It was so hard for Jacob compared to how it is for Edward. And just looking at all of this, I would say Jacob's point of view is so better. Like, there is no word to say how better Jacob's point of view is. Like, author did a phenomenal job. Author wrote his point of view, like a little 4 or 5 chapters, so very well. And that's just sugarcoating it to the max level I can because it's beautiful. We have a fast-paced story. We feel the story is moving, like something is happening all the time. And I like that. The other thing I would say is Bella having the power to shield, because in three books, we were never explained how she is able to block her thoughts from Edward, Jasper being able to detect her feelings, Alice being able to see her future. That is normal. But Edward? No, he can't do it. The Volturi? No, they can't. They are the superior vampire authority in this world, and they are not able to go into the big thick skull of Bella. That's how she describes it. I'm not even saying it, it's Bella's word. In book 4, she says, I'm able to shield. I don't know why. She's able to give birth to a child that is vampire, half human. I really like the concept of a hybrid child because of originals, hybrid, Klaus. There's no better way to ever stop bringing the Vampire Diaries, the originals, into a story which has vampires in it. I mean, I had to talk about them, but there was a tension, a hype in this book that kept me on the edge just because of one thing. The Volturi will come and kill them. So they were afraid. What happens then? Let me just show it to you, because in the movie there was the whole, I have not seen the movies, guys. I just cannot. It's just so hard for me to think that I will watch the movies because the book were already so difficult for me to bear. But anyway, I would say that in the movie we get to see the Volturi lift the head of Carlisle, and he is dead, you guys, in the movie. We get to see that only for a brief second because later, Aro, I think he sees the future, and he sees that so many people are gonna die and it's not gonna be worthwhile, and then the fight is peacefully resolved. But in the book, nothing of the sort happened. We didn't. I was expecting it to happen. I gave myself spoiler, and I just do not like how it turned out, because the tension was rising, and then all of a sudden it became flatline. Like, it's not a big deal now. Yeah, you have a hybrid child. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the family. It's cool. There is a very famous scene in the movie. I gave myself spoilers, so I know. But even in the book, it's just the same. Bella overreacting when Jacob gives a nickname to Renesmee, because Renesmee is a big word, so he just decides to call the child Nessie. And everyone in the story called her Nessie. And Bella overreacts, and says, I do not like this. I just hate the name. And there is a Loch Ness monster who, I don't know, it's a mythological thing, and yeah, I needed to do a bit of research to find it out. Thanks, Google. This overreaction to Nessie made me wonder that, okay, it's not a good name. And that's reasoning for Bella to dislike and just run after Jacob. And Edward was having a good laugh. But at the very end, last or second last chapter, when they all have a happy ending, she called her child Renesmee. She called her Nessie. What was all this fight for if you were going to end up calling her Nessie herself? Like, you call it herself, like yourself. Like, why do you give us fight that have no meaning. Like, come on, you guys, you just did not have to do it, and it just happened. It's just, let's just go beyond that. Now, the abilities of so many new vampires. I love that. I just love that. One more reason why I love this book, because there were so many new characters, so many new magical abilities, and Bella actually training herself. Like, come on, she is being an active character, you guys, in this book. And why is she not active in other books? Okay, but she is having possessing spoiler. Too late for that, but she is having the ability to shield herself. And all of a sudden, now they reveal that there is also someone else who knows to shield. Just plot conveniences, you guys. Plot conveniences. There's just so much. Just too convenient. Okay. Alice leaves this whole family, and Bella is very upset about it. I really like the clues that she left for Bella, because that is when Bella is active, you guys. That is the one chapter, and the other one is when she goes to the lawyer. Just these two chapters, okay? Just these two incidents where she is actually doing something. So she hides something from Edward, something new. She's never done that before, and then we see the whole story play out, and we at the very end, Alice come back, and we like, yay! I was so happy. I was really so happy to see Alice come back. It was beautiful. Whole of the training and shielding just made her so powerful, Bella. Just made her so powerful that she decided to overcome or just win over the centuries old vampires, and she's able to win because there is no fight. The whole tension was for nothing. I'm just ranting about it, and I'm not going to stop. I know this. So let me bring the end to this video, because I have one whole summary video coming up for the entire series, like all these 4 books. See, I do not like the way Bella reacts to vampire. Like, you're just beautiful now. I hate that, because there is flaws, no matter how she sees herself. The whole idea of never telling Renee that Bella is a vampire, hiding and lying to her mom, I do not like it. But then at the same time, they keep Charlie in the picture because they want someone to be as a parent figure. And they just, the way Bella has to prepare, wear contact lens, and just hide her identity as a vampire in front of her father, and the happy going discussion like, yeah, now we have a child Renee's made that looks like me, but no, she's adopted, because how can I explain I got pregnant and I had a delivery in so young time, like so little time. I would still say this book was overall much better, much better than the other books, and it gave a very good happy ending for me, and I was glad that there was Jacob's point of view. It saved me. I would have gone insane, because I would have been like, oh, I don't like this series. I just hate people. And yet I'm reading 4 books out of it. I'm just not ready to give up on the series, because I'm thinking to read Midnight Sun. Just tell me if it's worth reading, because I'm gonna give it a shot. And I would say the characters introduced to us in the book 1, like there was Bella's so many friends. There was Mike, there was who else? Like 4 or 5 of them. And they just slowly start to not appear in any of the books. This book overall had so many characters. Like, this book being the concluding book, bringing everything together, they just showed so many vampires that I did not know exist, because there is a plot convenience that Alice comes bringing a nomad who is a half child, and I just plot conveniences, you guys. There's just so much of plot convenience. You want a hybrid just to show it's a normal thing to have a hybrid and they can be normalized. Yeah, we have Renesmee, but now we need someone else to prove so that Wall 3 will not kill them. But just because you don't want to have a mega fight, it's just beyond me. I just try to remain sane after all this. So if you like this video, if you enjoyed my rant about this series, just consider liking and subscribing, because I will be having a summary video for all of these books. So if you want to just jump straight into it, you can just go there. And I have a whole Harry Potter series coming up. Yes, I'm gonna talk about it, because how can I not talk about Harry Potter on my channel? It's just gonna be there. It's gonna be there. So see you there.